Hello and welcome to the EDU-TALK author series hosted by Biotone EduPartner Program, and massage industry authors. The EDU-TALK author series is a bonus to EDU-TALK Tuesdays to further support virtual learning and connect you with industry authors who, through their textbooks and books, support your career success. Today's author is Nikki Kenward. Nikki is a UK upledger craniosacral therapist with over 20 years experience, specializing in gut health, pediatrics, PTSD, and trauma. She's an international educator with 15 years experience as a certified international healthcare educator. Additionally, when she's not writing books or teaching, she's a poet. Let's listen and learn as Nikki shares her insights, inspiration, tools, and tips about the connection between your gut health and emotional health. From her book, It's All in Your Gut. Let your second brain guide you to optimal health. Nikki, thank you for joining us today. I'll turn this over to you. We're happy to have you, and we're all ears.
Thank you so much. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here to talk about my pet subject, emotional stress and the gut. So what brought me to write about this book, write about this area that's so important for so many people? Really thinking about it, there were three things that inspired me. Firstly, it was really personal. About 15 years ago, I had a very serious scuba diving accident and nearly drowned. So I survived, clearly, but I ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder. And interestingly, this quickly became something that I now call post-traumatic gut, and realized I was becoming part of a big family of people with post-traumatic gut. So the emotional stress and challenge of that accident left me with a long-term gut issue, even when everything else seemed to be much better. Another thing which really inspired me to go more in depth into emotional stress and the gut and the second brain was that I began to notice there was so much new research and discussion and debate and awareness around the world about the gut bacteria, about the gut-brain connection. Many people were beginning to call the enteric nervous system the second brain because it can make its own decisions without referring to the brain in the head at all. So this fascinated me because it clearly was affecting me personally. So I just started to read and listen and learn more about this. The third thing, which really kind of pushed me into wanting to write about this and see if I could support other therapists and people with chronic gut problems, was that I had so many patients coming into my practice who had chronic gut issues and didn't know how to get better. They'd been through the more traditional, conventional medical world, and they tried various medications or had various interventions, but they were still left with these problems. Many of these people that came to me perhaps went to their highly qualified and wonderful nutritional therapist and adjusted their diet to suit their particular gut. They still had problems. So there seemed to be something that was a missing piece in the puzzle here. It's like, why couldn't I get to it in myself? And why couldn't I get to it in the clients that came to me? And as I read, I began to realize it was the emotional component, that the gut is often a place that remembers emotional stress and challenges from all the way back through our lives. And in remembering this, it can store tension and strain patterns, just as the rest of our body can do this. But they seem to be harder to get to. This is what I realized, because we go beyond fight and flight into freeze in the gut. And this is where it becomes very difficult to reach. People need to feel really safe to get into those parts of the body that have gone into freeze. So those three things, my accident, all the new research and debate, and the fact that I felt I just was like trying to grasp a jellyfish and couldn't quite get hold of it, inspired me to write this book. So what is there inside the covers of this book? Well, because I'm not very good, I'll hold my hand up at reading a textbook, and I wanted it to be more than a book that would be referred to and left on a shelf. I wanted it to be a page turner, something that would really engage people and resonate with people who worked with people who have these chronic problems or maybe have them themselves as well. So I decided to write the book through telling my own personal story from my scuba accident, the things that I experienced and have experienced along the way. So my personal story is woven through the book, which I hope, and it seems to be from people who've read it so far, engages people. They resonate and say, oh yes, I've experienced that in the middle of the night or whatever it might have been. And this is woven through all the anatomy. There's quite a lot of anatomy, physiology, and lots of insights from the new research over the last 5 to 10 years. This is such a complex area in the body, and I've aimed to make it really understandable. And I think what I really want people to get from the book is to be in awe and wonder at the beauty and the complexity of this long tube that goes from our mouth to our anus. So often it's thought of as a tube the poo goes through, let's face it, and that's it. But actually, when you look at the layers there in the tube, the incredibly complex enteric nervous system that's embedded in the tube, how there are constant conversations between the enteric neurons, the enteric glial cells, the immune cells, all the other gut bacteria, of course, and these conversations are making decisions moment by moment, which affect how well we absorb food, how we feel emotionally, and these conversations, of course, are impacted by things that happen in our life. So it's a bit like this long tube is where the outside world comes in and where we respond to that outside world moment by moment. So a question I ask people often is, how does this tube feel? Does it feel like it's relaxed and confident and happy in its response? Or are there areas of tension, areas which are maybe more guarded, don't feel so safe? So this is how I look at the gut, and this is what I want to get across in my book to therapists and anybody who reads it, is this is an amazing, complex, beautiful system that responds to our life in a very plastic way and can continue to do that. So even when we have problems that have been going on for a long time, we know that we can influence it by how we feel, what we do, the therapy we have, the thoughts we have in our head, how we deal with our emotional health. And all this can be the missing piece to help our gut health become more comfortable, happier, better at digesting all this wonderful food that we're eating. So why could this be helpful for a massage therapist? Well, I've got many friends, as you can imagine, who are masseurs, wonderful clinical masseurs, sports massage therapists. And they are often very good at down-regulating people's nervous systems, taking them out of fight and flight. But I think if they could add this extra insight and knowledge into how important safety is for gut health, how the light and gentle touch around the gut can make a huge difference if your hands are informed about what it is that you're touching and how it may be responding. Many of the techniques and strategies in the book they can pass on to clients, they can use on their clients, and indeed clients can take away and use for themselves. So they'll have another whole set of tools in their toolbox when somebody maybe comes to have a massage for, you know, chronic diverticulitis and they're feeling really stressed and tight, or irritable bowel syndrome, which seems to be prevalent for a lot of people. So it will give them an opportunity to have that extra piece of extra insights, information, strategies, tools, information in their hands. So when they're touching the person, that person will know, that body mind system will realize that they have so much to offer to do with digestive health and chronic back problems. So understanding, I think, the impact of our mental life, our thought processes, our emotional life, our stress levels on the gut is key, is really important, both for ourselves and the people that come to us. And really, you know, the bottom line in all this, as with many things, is safety. And when people have chronic gut issues that have gone on, often there has been a time in their life, perhaps, when they really haven't felt safe at all. So through the wonderful touch of massage, it's so possible to create this wonderful safe place where people may feel able to let go of some of the tension there in part of that long tube, which is causing them so many problems. So I really hope that by reaching out to you, you will be able to benefit from this personally and for your clients. And in fact, many craniosacral therapists that I know through UpPleasure that have bought the book, in fact, sell a lot of books to the clients because they can take it away. They're not so alone with their problems. They realize I'm there and I'm saying, look, you're not alone. I have had all these sensations and difficulties, and there is hope. The gut will respond to these strategies. So it's great for therapists. It's great for your clients as well, to help them really understand how they can help themselves to support the great treatment that you're giving them. So here we are with a picture of the book. It's all in your gut. Let your second brain guide you to optimal health. It's not a terribly thick book. It's full of a story. It's turning out to be a real page turner. So I really encourage you to add this extra piece of wonderfulness to your practice. Now, if you are in the UK or Europe, because I guess this may be seen beyond America, you can get this book from my own store, which is www.nikkikenward.store, and the book can be sent all over Europe. However, if you're in America, the easiest way to get it is on www.uppleasure.com, and then you'll just see a thing to click on which says purchase products. You can put the name of the book in, it's all in your gut, and you can purchase it that way. And if you're interested in, perhaps somebody wants to find a therapist who's done my gut class with UpPleasure or another class, uppleasure.com is where you can find a therapist near you as well. So there's lots of good information there to find out even more about this.
Well, thank you so much. And I feel like I could go on listening and asking questions, but I'll have to get my hands on a copy of the book. It is, you know, one thing I thought in listening to you was how many times people just say, oh, my gut told me this, or, you know, I felt it in my gut. I mean, that's primal.
Absolutely.
And how does that all tie in with the healing process and the emotional, physical connection?
I think that that's absolutely key, because we become, often when we have emotional stress, whenever it is in our lives that's written into the tissue of the gut, we go into freeze. So we disconnect, we disassociate from what's happening there. And a lot of the strategies and the techniques in the book and in my story, it's about reconnecting with the gut, reconnecting with those stories in order to move forwards. Yeah, great question.
Well, very interesting. Thank you so much. I'd love to invite you to the EDU-TALK series to hear more about this topic. So we'll continue to talk about that. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your book. And if you'd hold up the cover again, that would be great.
Yeah, and thank you as well. I really enjoy spreading the word.
Oh, well, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you.